Good afternoon. Here is the latest news update on Apna Radio 93.9 Dublin South FM. Last Tuesday, a court in southeastern Bangladesh rescheduled a bail hearing for jailed prominent Hindu leader Krishna Das Prabhu. Prabhu, who led large rallies in the Muslim-majority country demanding better security for minority groups, was arrested in Bangladesh's capital Dhaka last week. He faces charges of sedition after he led huge rallies in the southeastern city of Chattogram. Hindu groups say there have been thousands of attacks against Hindus since early August, when the secular government of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina was overthrown. Prabhu's arrest comes as tensions spiked following reports of the desecration of the Indian flag across Bangladesh, with some burning it and others laying it on the floor for people to step on. Earlier this week, dozens of protesters forced their way into the consulate building of Bangladesh in the Indian city of Agartala and vandalised it. The Indian government, however, has distanced itself from the attack, calling it deeply regrettable. Hindus constitute less than 10% of Bangladesh's 170 million population. Leaders of the community have long spoken of discrimination and hate attacks against them by Islamists and political parties. 2 years after the Supreme Court granted bail and ordered the immediate release of Mohammed Zubair from prison, the leading Indian fact-checker and journalist is back in court, facing new charges. This week, police in the northern state of Uttar Pradesh sought his arrest, accusing him of endangering sovereignty, unity and integrity of India. A new legal code added recently, which legal experts say grant the police the power of arrest. The charge is non-bailable, and a conviction could mean a minimum of 7 years in jail and fine or even life imprisonment. Zubair is the co-founder of the website Alt News and denies all the accusations against him. He is wanted in connection with a post he put out on X, spotlighting hate speech by controversial Hindu priest Yati Narsingh Anand, which offended many Muslims. The comments against Prophet Muhammad have been made a number of times before, openly calling for violence against Muslims. The 60-year-old head priest at the powerful Dasna Devi temple in Uttar Pradesh was previously arrested in 2022 for making Islamophobic and misogynistic comments and spent a month in jail. A day after Zubair's post pointing out the offensive comments, 10 Muslims were arrested during a protest outside the temple, resulting in an official complaint by Uditya Tyagi, a member of the BJP and a close friend of the priest. In his defence, Zubair says he was not the only one who had posted Narsingh Anand's remarks, and that a number of journalists, politicians and media channels have tweeted the video before. Amnesty International India has said it is an example of how the law is being used to harass, intimidate and persecute human rights defenders, such as journalists, for peacefully exercising their right to freedom of expression. India has been consistently sliding on the global press freedom rankings. It is now placed at 159 out of 180 countries, according to media watchdog Reporters Without Borders. Novo Nordisk NVO Financial, the Danish pharmaceutical giant, is accelerating efforts to launch its weight loss drug, Wegovy, in India. The company's local team has urged executives to introduce the drug by 2025, aligning with Eli Lilly's anticipated launch of its weight loss drug, Mounjaro. Initially, Novo Nordisk planned to introduce Wegovy in India by 2026, pending regulatory approval and sufficient supply. Wegovy shares its active ingredient, semaglutide, with Novo Nordisk's diabetes drug Ozempic. Similarly, Eli Lilly's weight loss drug Zepbound and diabetes medication Mounjaro contains tirzepatide. All these drugs are GLP-1 receptor agonists, which aid weight loss by suppressing appetite and slowing gastric emptying. India, with a population exceeding 1.4 billion and rising obesity rates, represents a significant market. However, Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly face competition from Indian generic drug manufacturers like Cipla and Dr. Reddy's, who are developing generic versions of Wegovy. An Indian taxi aggregator service has apologised after a customer said she was robbed at gunpoint by one of its drivers near the capital, Delhi. The 30-year-old woman said she was travelling in a blue smart taxi with her 6-year-old son on Saturday when the driver pulled out a gun. In her police complaint, she said he forced her to transfer 55,000 rupees to him through an app before forcing her out of the car. The driver has since been arrested. Blue Smart is a popular ride-sharing app with a fleet of 100% electric vehicles. The service has many loyal customers who say they prefer the newer and cleaner taxis. Blue Smart said it was deeply disturbed by the incident and that its exhaustive documentation process and swift action from its quick response team had ensured the driver was caught within 24 hours of the incident. It said it was taking steps to strengthen its safety protocols and providing additional training to drivers. Police in India say they have reached out for information to Elon Musk's Starlink after they allegedly found drug smugglers using its satellite internet device to navigate Indian waters and reach the country's shore. Starlink claims to provide super-fast broadband almost anywhere on Earth, but it does not yet have permission to provide coverage in India or India's territorial waters. Last week, the Indian Coast Guard said they found the device on a Myanmar boat they seized near the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. This was the biggest such drug bust by the Coast Guard, according to authorities, with reportedly 6,000 kilograms of methamphetamine seized from the boat, with an estimated value of £3.35 billion. And finally, a cap worn by Australian cricket legend Don Bradman has sold for £245,000 at an auction in Sydney. Bradman wore the cap, known as baggy green, in the 1947-8 home test series against India, during which he scored his 100th first-class century. Auction house Bonhams described the cap as sun-faded and worn with some insect damage. So that's all from me. Tune in next week to Apna Radio 93.9 Dublin South FM for more news updates across the globe.
Everything's fine on 93.9 Dublin South FM.